heaven and earth, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven. We come before you to ask you to bless this meeting. We are confident that you are sovereignly placed and appoint every leader around this city. We pray that you bless our mayor, city council members, of city officials, and leaders of this great city, as well as their families. We pray that you give wisdom to our leaders in all the decisions that they need to make that will bring prosperity and happiness for our community and the citizens of this city. Your word declared that you are a good shepherd, and as a good shepherd, you provide guidance for their sheep. We pray that you, Lord, provide guidance for every leader. Thank you for hearing our prayer. Thank you for being a good God and mercy. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor. And now, Councilwoman Williams, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we now turn to council reports. Councilmember Carr, would you like to begin?
Yes. Thank you, Vice Mayor. I don't have a long report. I just want to give a shout out to our public works. I've been driving around town with all the bad weather, everything. I haven't seen any delays, down trees, floods, anything. I think they're doing a fabulous job, as well as some other emergency things going on and the response. I'm very proud to be a representative of the city of Fairfield, and the people in charge are doing such a fabulous job. That's all I got.
Thank you, and I agree 100%, as I'm sure we all do. Councilwoman Panduro, your report, please.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here in this rain pour we're having. I just wanted to give a thanks to David A. Weir Elementary. They invited myself and a few other of our staff and leadership to read on I Love to Read Day last week, and so we had a great time going around to all the classrooms and reading to each of the classes. That was really fun. And then also I wanted to thanks Colonel Salmi from Travis Air Force Base. He had myself and one of my colleagues out on the base today, and so we got to meet him and other officers, and we got to go up to the control tower. We got to go into the what's it called, the aerial port, which is like the largest, I think, on this side of the state. It's kind of like a big FedEx for the military, so it was really interesting to see. So we just learned a lot about the base. I mean, we already know a lot about the base, but I think it was more deepened understanding of their challenges and their needs with regards to working with us as a city partner and community partner. And that is all for today. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Vaccaro, please.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I just wanted to also, I'll echo what Councilman Carr said, and the Vice Mayor. Also, our first responders, Public Works, you guys are doing a great job. I've heard that from a lot of different people, that Fairfield is actually doing really well through this torrential rainstorms we've been having. Hopefully this might be the last one. Who knows? Probably wrong. But anyway, on March 14th, we did have a workshop, and thank you, Vice Mayor, for being the facilitator of that, and thank you, Mr. City Manager, for setting that up. I know we discussed our goals and priorities that we had discussed back in February, and City Manager's leadership team also, I know they had a retreat, and that was all part of it. I believe that we really, as always, had good discussion. So, we're always welcome to have that, when we all meet together. And I won't say much more because I know we were late tonight, so I'll move on. So thank you. That's my report.
Thank you. Councilmember Tonneson, please.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. I'll echo, my colleagues' comments tonight. There's a really good energy in this city, and we all have several meetings throughout the weeks with different organizations and with different members of the city. But the energy is strong. I'm obviously partial to the downtown, so Things are going good. City workers, you guys are doing a great job. Fire, police, public works is going to be busy tonight. So just, again, we were a little behind, so thank you all. And that's all for me, Madam Vice Mayor.
Thank you. Councilwoman Williams, please.
Thank you. I would like to report on, well, I love doing Fairfield tours and just really learning about Fairfield and all the different departments. I love it. And so my last city tour, was with Latan Jones, Housing Director. And not only did he let me ask him questions for a whole 2 hours, but we also visited a number of properties. We passed by Heather House. I was able to see the pallet shelter that is in progress, and also able to see Fairhaven Court project that is under a process, and really happy with that. That project looks really great, and when I see the rent ranges, it makes me happy. This is really affordable housing, with studio apartments going for rent between $275 and $445, and 3 bedrooms in the range of $625 to $1187. I love it. I want to see more of these, but just really proud of the work that the Housing Division is doing. Thank you.
Thank you. And I likewise will keep my council report very brief, and I'll just remind everyone of 2 events. Number 1, we have our first listening tour this coming Saturday, the 25th of March, from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. at the Bethel Community Church on East Tabor. You all are cordially invited. I think this meeting has been noticed so that all of the council members can attend. So I hope we can all attend and kick off the listening tour together. And then I just want to remind you that the Clergy Action Network will be hosting our 2nd annual Juneteenth event on Saturday, June 17th. And if anyone is interested in being a vendor, we are pretty much maxed out with vendors, so you can call me directly if you're interested in being a vendor for the Juneteenth event. And that will be, and I concur with all of my colleagues in their comments tonight about the great work and the great energy that is enveloping this city. So thank you, everyone, for your hard work. And Mr. City Manager, your report, please.
Yeah, just a few quick things. Number 1, you might notice that our podium looks different tonight, so bear with us. It had a little bit of a wobble to it, and so it has been sent out for repair. We're hoping that by our next council meeting to have our standard podium back. The second is a quick message from our fire department and just advising the community. With all these heavy rains, normally this time of year, right about now, we would be starting our weed abatement program, but because of all of the rain, obviously all of the weeds are still green. It is really expensive. We spend about $250,000 a year to mow down the weeds all around town in all of the fire areas, and we do not want to pay to do that twice. And so we really try to hit it right as that starts to brown and really become an actual danger to fire. So that'll be a little bit delayed. And we'll be hitting that window a little bit later this year. I know we've gotten some comments from the public about, normally we would be out at this time of year, and the weeds are getting really high because of all of the rain we've had. And then third, on Monday night, we will have a public engagement session in these chambers at 6 p.m. AB 481, which was adopted in the last couple of years, requires our police department to annually file a report with identifying the use of any equipment that the state has defined as military equipment. And as a part of the requirements under AB 481, we have to have a public meeting for any opportunity for engagement on that. And so that will be Monday, the 27th at 6 p.m. in these chambers. The PD will be hosting that. That report right now is available on our website if any members of the public want to take a look at it. And that is my report.
Thank you. Are there any changes to the agenda?
There's one item. We're going to be pulling item number 6 on consent calendar.
Thank you. And Mr. City Attorney, your report, please.
Thank you. I have two items to report out of closed session. One is from a previous closed session, not today's, in the matter, excuse me, in the matter of Rivas versus City of Fairfield, which is a Eastern District Court of California case in docket 2:22-CV-01-907-KJM-JDD. The city entered into a settlement agreement with Mr. Rivas in the amount of $57,500. In items number 1 and 2, which were closed session items today, the item number 2, existing litigation in the matter of Ahmed Saeed versus City of Fairfield. That is also a U.S. District Court, Eastern District of California, case number 23-CV-0087. And existing item number 3, which is a Solano County Superior Court case, People of the State of California versus City of Fairfield versus Ahmed Saeed and Smoke Shop and More LLC, case number FCS 059677. Both of those cases are going to settle with a non-judicial settlement agreement, which will see the city be paid by Mr. Saeed and Smoke Shop a settlement amount of $11,000. That's my report.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, your report, please.
Just that we're still accepting applications for the Youth Commission. So those can be turned into the city clerk's office. And that's it.
Very good. Now we turn to presentations. Madam Clerk, please.
Yes, proclamation declaring American Red Cross Month presented by Councilmember Doug Carr. And he will be presenting it to our Red Cross volunteers, Mary Bickler, who happens to be a friend of mine, and Phil Arsich.
American Red Cross Month, March 2023. Whereas in times of crisis, people in Fairfield come together to care for one another, the humanitarian spirit is part of the foundation of our community and is exemplified by American Red Cross volunteers and donors. March is American Red Cross Month, a special time to honor the kindness of our volunteers and neighbors who aid families in need every day as they carry out their organization's 140-year mission of preventing and suffering. And whereas despite the ongoing challenges presented by the COVID-19 pandemic, people have stepped up to help others in need. Wherever it is responding to record-breaking wildfires, horrific tornadoes, extreme winter storms, cold waves, or summer heat waves, volunteers continue to roll up their sleeves, give blood when their county has faced a severe blood shortage. And whereas the American Red Cross has a long history of helping other neighbors in their time of the greatest need by delivering shelter, care, and home, hope for disaster victims, making our community safer throughout its life-saving home fire campaign, providing life-saving blood, teaching skills that save lives, and supporting military veterans and their families. And whereas in 2022, Solano County has 144 American Red Cross volunteers that helped 137 families affected by home fires, providing emotional support, addressed immediate needs to help families recover from emergency financial assistance or community resources, installed 238 smoke alarms, collected 467 units of life-saving blood, hosted 23 blood drives, taught skills and saved lives to 5,899 community members, provided international humanitarian aid, and supported 264 military members and their families. And whereas during the last year's red flag warnings complicated by the public safety power shutoffs, American Red Cross worked tirelessly beside its government and community partners to coordinate preparedness efforts and develop response plans to the high fire danger by putting volunteers on standby to open evacuation centers and shelters and to staff and emergency operations centers. And whereas every day people in our community depend on the American Red Cross, those life-saving missions is powered by the devotion of volunteers, generously of donors and partnerships, of community organizations, We dedicate the month of March to all those who support its vital work to prevent and alleviate human suffering in the face of emergencies. Now, therefore, Catherine Cat Moy, Mayor of Fairfield, do hereby proclaim March 2023 as American Red Cross Month. I encourage all citizens to support this organization and its humanitarian efforts and mission. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Do you guys want to say anything?
Yes, thank you.
We would just like to thank the Madam Mayor and the rest of the council members for this. And Mary has some other information she would like to share.
Thank you. Real quickly, thank you very much. And I would just like to tell you about a home fire program that we're having. Every day, 7 people die in home fires, most often in homes without working smoke alarms. But these devices can cut the risk of death by half. That's why the American Red Cross launched the Home Fire Campaign, Sound the Alarm, to help prevent needless tragedies. The goal of the Home Fire Campaign is to reduce deaths and injuries from these everyday disasters. So please join us next month to help install free smoke alarms as part of our national Sound the Alarm events during April 2023. We have flyers on the back table if you'd be interested in volunteering. We'll take as many people as we can get, and there's no experience necessary. If you have any questions on events you'd like us to do or in volunteering, you can call 1-800-RED-CROSS, and our website is redcross.org/homefires for this program. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we now turn to public comments. Madam Clerk, please.
Yes, persons wishing to address the city council on subjects not on the agenda but within the jurisdiction of the council may do so at this time. The council cannot discuss or take action on matters not on the agenda for this meeting, but council members may briefly respond to statements made or questions raised by the public, ask for clarification from staff, refer the matter to staff, request staff to report back to the council at a subsequent meeting, or place the matter on a future agenda. If you're online to speak on an agenda item, please use the raise your hand feature or press *9 on your phone. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes per item. And our first speaker is Rick Johnson.
Good evening, Vice Mayor Bertani, City Council members, and staff. In 31 days from today, the ballots for the new landscape districts will be mailed. The residents will be voting using the limited information that they do have. Many of the council members have attended the community meetings that have just taken place at the beginning of the month. The consistent concern raised by the residents of these meetings is the same issue that the working groups raised to Civic Mike and the Public Works Department. Why is my assessment so much? In our emails and Zoom calls, we called it sticker shock. The increasing costs appear to be well supported when you look at the actual figures and you look at the programs. Some of us have spent a lot of time doing that. Most people don't have that much time. The only information supplied to the residents has been that the assessments no longer cover the expenses of the landscape districts. That is correct, but does not tell the full story. And one resident said at the Rancho meeting, "I'm a business owner and my costs have gone up, but they haven't gone up that much, as we are going to be paying more for our landscape districts." Some of the information as to why the increase was given took place during that community meeting. This information should have been part of the original program as we requested so that people could have a full understanding. There's still time to get the information out through the weekly update process of civicmike.com. Good factual information, short and to the point. As an example of short and to the point, one resident I talked to after the engineers meeting ran the numbers for her new assessment district. She said she's going to be paying $22 a month more for the new assessment district if the vote is yes. For that, her district will get a level of maintenance seen 5 or more years ago. It was very good. now completed by a competent, good quality landscaping company. They will also receive tree maintenance never before included in the contract. She's voting yes because it makes sense to her. It's a good deal. When the residents consider voting yes or no, they do not have an accurate understanding of what a no vote will yield. In my district, a no vote will result in receiving approximately 30% of the original work that we used to see, now completed by a competent company such as TerraCare. If we use an inferior company as in the past, then we might see approximately 50% of the work that we used to see, but done poorly. In the case of Rolling Hills, a no vote will result in the residents receiving approximately 5 to 10% of the maintenance that they had previously received. These are my estimates. Please provide more information to the residents of the districts, now 31 days from the vote. And please change this process as the remainder of the districts go into the next phase of process. Give details, why the increase, how much more will it cost, provide a clear understanding of what the district will look like if the new district is not adopted. 31 calendar days, 22 city work days until the ballots are mailed. I appreciate your time and your participation in all this. And truly, staff, I really appreciate what you guys are doing. So we just need to get more information out to people. We just want a fair and honest vote where people know what they're voting for.
Mr. City Manager, are we having a last big push to get information out before these ballots go out?
Yes.
Can you tell us what that is?
So we're updating our social media strategy. I was just talking with our Public Works Director today and yesterday about doing some bullet point types of information similar to what Mr. Johnson's saying, and doing a mailing. We also talked about maybe putting up some changeable message signs just along some of the arterial roads to help to really just drive traffic to the website where we can get some information out there.
Mr. Johnson, do you have any recommendations for anything in addition to what the city manager just said?
It's just giving good specifics. Like in the case of the no vote, we've asked previously for photographs of a before and after concept to be able to show what a district would look like if it doesn't get that. We have to walk a very fine line that we cannot have the city promoting either side of the vote. But in doing that process, we can be restricting the information necessary to make a good understanding and a good intelligent vote. So the challenge is to provide the information in a factual manner, such as the percentage that I've suggested. That's a good way that people can grasp what will I have. And that's the important part. The other one is the pieces of the puzzle, the bullet points are going to be very key in what specifically led us to this place. The city has worked very hard, but they've had their hands kind of tied behind their back, and people don't have a full comprehension of that. So when the person at the Rancho meeting said, this is way more than inflation, it doesn't take into account all the other processes. So those bullet points would really help people get on board.
Can we do the percentages without being an advocate? Like a yes vote means 100% of services, a no vote means 5% of services.
Madam Vice Mayor, I would just at this point, obviously you can run the meeting as you want, but this has not been agendized, so any discussion of this matter has not been agendized and could technically be a violation of the Brown Act. So
Okay, I'm
I
sorry,
would-
I was just asking questions
Yeah.
since we had the
Yeah.
public comment.
Yeah, what I'd be really able to say is we've been hearing from some residents that some additional outreach is needed, and so we'll be picking up more opportunity to get information out.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is John Takeuchi.
Good evening. I'll try to emulate you all and be brief. I volunteer out at the Air Museum on Travis Air Force Base, and you may have already been invited by the base commander. At the end of this month, we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of Operation Homecoming. That's when we got our North Vietnamese POWs back. A good friend of mine brought the first airplane in here on March 16th of 73. He's going to be here, and he may get a chance to tell a little bit of his story. But Saturday at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock is when the museum will be open for those activities. There'll be a couple of speakers there. One of them, I believe, is a released prisoner of war. And after that, there'll be an open, we'll do tours of the museum itself. A couple of airplanes will be open if you want to look inside, see what they do. So anyway, I just encourage you, if you haven't been invited by the base commander, consider this an invite, okay? And I'm sure that you can arrange to have, if you don't have a military ID, you got to jump through all kinds of hoops to get on base. But I suspect with the base commanders, okay, those of you that are, by name can sure come in. And for the rest of the public, if you want to come out there, either find a friend with a military ID, because then it's pretty easy. Okay, thank you.
Excuse me, John, did you say this Saturday at 10?
No, it's the last Friday of the month, March 31st. The festivities start at I think 9:30 or something like that at the passenger terminal, but that's just for welcome everybody. But the museum stuff, where you'll get to see things, is at 11 o'clock.
Okay,
That's
thank you.
Friday the 31st.
Thank you.
I don't have any other cards. Did anyone else want to speak? And there are no hands raised online.
Okay, thank you. So we move to the consent calendar? Madam Clerk?
Yes, all matters listed on the consent calendar are to be approved with one motion unless a member of the City Council or the public requests that separate action be taken on a specific item.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to approve the consent calendar as amended with pulling item 6.
That's correct.
All right. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to make a comment. I'm not want to pull it, but item number 4 tonight on our consent calendar is the dedication to Harry Price. And we're going to be naming the council chambers the Harry Price Memorial Council Chamber, I think, and then Civic Center Drive is, sorry, I still get emotional about it. Civic Center Drive will be named after him, too.
Thank you very much for bringing that to the public's attention. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Carries unanimously. And now we will turn to the public hearings, item 16.
No, we need to do item 6.
Item 6 first.
Oh, I'm sorry, item 6.
I'll read it. Continued Resolution 2023-36 of the City Council of the City of Fairfield upholding the Planning Commission's decision and approving a minor development review, MD 2021-011, use permit, UP 2021-002, and environmental review, ER 2021-009, and partially granting an appeal by Steve Mirabito, Storage Pro of Fairfield LLC, to modify the conditions of approval for a recreational vehicle storage facility with the capacity for 138 vehicles and solar carports on a 4.21 acre parcel at 490 Edison Court, APN 0180-130-110. And our presenter...
I'm going to be presenting on this
Oh,
item.
okay. Thank you.
And good evening, Madam Vice Mayor and members of the City Council. This is pulled because this was a continuation of a decision you made on appeal for Storage Pro back on February 21st, 2023. Earlier this morning, I received an email that I think was CC'd to the City Council from Dana Dean, the attorney for Storage Pro, asking that some modifications to the resolution be made. I called back Ms. Dean. We had a productive discussion. Myself and staff invited her to make those changes. They, in my mind, are slight modifications that I think more closely and accurately depict the findings made by the City Council, so we accepted those. You have that revised resolution on the dais in front of you now. We've put them out for members of the public. I do think that Ms. Dean is also on Zoom and wants to make some comments, but other than that, we are still recommending approval of this resolution.
Okay. Thank you. Do we have Ms. Dean on Zoom?
Valeria, is she on Zoom?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Madam Vice Mayor and council members. Thank you for taking my comments. Just briefly, I want to say that we support the changes that are before you, the modifications that are before you on the resolution. And I do want to take the time to thank staff, in particular, Mr. Lim, for the prompt response today. And I appreciated the opportunity to work cooperatively with him. So with that said, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them, but I would appreciate it if you would support the resolution as presented to you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Dean. Do we have any questions or comments, colleagues, regarding these amendments to the resolution? Any discussion?
Not on item 6, no.
Okay. So I will entertain a motion to approve the resolution as amended. Oh, I'm sorry. Did Councilmember Williams, did you have a question?
Right. I just wanted to ask, can I vote on, thank you. Can I vote on this matter?
That's a good point. Since you abstained from the hearing, I would just, or since you recused yourself from the hearing, I would just abstain. You don't need to recuse yourself off the dais, but I would just abstain from the vote.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that point of clarification. Councilwoman Panduro?
If I wasn't here that day,
I forgot that too. You should probably abstain as well.
just want to make sure. Thank you.
Oh, you know what? Then we have an issue. We only.
Do
thank
we
you.
have a quorum?
I don't think we have a quorum as to this issue. Well, actually, so.
May I comment?
Go ahead, Ms. Dean. Oh,
Well, did you,
I'll
excuse
defer
me,
to the
Dana,
Vice Mayor.
did you have a comment, Mr. City Attorney?
Yeah, I think, so I'm thinking through the procedural posture. When we met for the hearing, we had 2 council members absent. So the quorum for that hearing was with 5. And then 1 abstained, so we had 4. So we had 4 present. So to pass this resolution, I think we can pass it with 3. Because only 1 of the 4 who was not present at the hearing. And I appreciate you letting me do the math out loud because I'm an attorney. So I do believe that
And we do
have a
like our
quorum.
attorney on the record.
I do
So
believe
it's
we have
great
a
to have
quorum
you.
of 4 with the 3 that we have present.
Well, we appreciate you doing it out loud.
Yeah.
I'm a yes.
So we're clear to vote on this.
Yeah, and I'm actually going to ask, since Ms. Dean is the attorney for the appellant, I'm going to ask her if she agrees with that.
Ms. Dean?
Yes, 2 comments. First, I concur with the math that Mr. Lynn just did, but I do have a law degree, not a math degree, but I agree with that. But then also I would say, while I appreciate Ms. Pandora, Councilmember Pandora's position, I actually don't think it's necessary for someone who wasn't present in the original proceeding to recuse themselves in this setting. However, it's my considered opinion that someone who recused themselves should abstain. So it's my view of the procedures that are the relevant procedures, that people who weren't at the meeting still are able to vote on the process before them if they choose to.
Yeah, because they could have watched the tape.
So,
She read the results, so, yep.
Yeah, Attorney Lim?
I would respectfully disagree, mainly because this is a resolution to approve what happened at a hearing. And if they weren't here at the hearing, and I think it's actually safer for the applicant, because if we get a challenge to it and somebody challenges them not being there, not having been there, I think it raises an appealable issue. If
Okay.
they abstain and the council approves it, then it takes away that.
Okay.
So Ms.
well-
Dean may be right, but I think the safer course is just to have them abstain.
Okay, so what we'll do, Attorney Dean, is we will proceed with Attorney Lim's disposition on this matter.
Understood.
Okay, thank you.
Understood. Thank
And
you.
we'll still get the business done. So I can entertain a motion to approve the resolution as amended.
Right, and I think the motion should come from either Councilmember.
So moved.
Tonneson, Carr, or Vice Mayor Burdani.
I'll second it. So let's do a roll call vote. Aye? Yes?
I'll do the roll call. So,
Okay, thank you.
Vice Mayor Bertani,
Yes.
Councilmember Carr,
Yes.
Councilmember Tonneson,
Yes.
Councilmember Vaccaro,
I am abstaining, right.
Councilmember Panduro,
Abstain.
and Councilmember Williams.
Abstaining.
So that's 3 yeses, 3 abstentions, but based on the quorum that was present at the hearing, this motion passes.
Thank you.
3 yeses, which is the quorum of the 4 that were present at the hearing.
Thank you. So the resolution as amended has passed. And Attorney Dean, thank you for participating this evening.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor, and thank you, Council.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right. Yeah, that was. And now we will turn to public hearings. Item 16, Madam Clerk.
Resolution 2023-54 of the City Council of the City of Fairfield denying a general plan amendment, GPA 2022-001, from Highway and Regional Commercial, CHR, to Industrial Business Park, IBP, and a zone change, ZC 2022-002, from Office Commercial North Cordelia, CO-NC, to Industrial Business Park, IBP, at 5253 Business Center Drive, APN 0148-270-220. And our presenter is Jesse Hernandez, Associate Planner.
Good evening, City Council and folks joining us tonight. My name is Jesse Hernandez, and I'll be presenting item 16. The project is approximately 11 acres at 5253 Business Center Drive. The site was formerly the Intercoast College's Fairfield campus, but it is currently a vacant 108,000 square foot office building. The site's internal circulation is connected with the neighboring shopping center, which includes Costco. The zoning designation is commercial office with a North Cordelia overlay, or CONC. Here is a contextual map, which gives you a view of where the project is located in Fairfield. As you can see, the project is located in North Cordelia, near Highway 12, Interstate 80, and Interstate 680. Some major roads are Green Valley Road, Business Center Drive, Neitzel Road, and Mangles Boulevard. A few key landmarks are Rodriguez High School to the south, the Costco and Safeway Shopping Center just east, 3 warehouse buildings further east along Business Center Drive, and the new Spanos apartment complex. The existing general plan designation is Highway and Regional Commercial, or CHR, and the zoning designation again is CONC. The project application before you is a general plan amendment and zone change application. The project proposes to amend the site's CHR designation and associated CONC zoning to Industrial Business Park, or IBP. The project does not propose any new development. The applicant has expressed the purpose of this project is to better attract new tenants to the vacant building. The applicant also stated at the February 8th Planning Commission meeting that he does not have any specific tenants or uses in mind. The City Council is requested to take action tonight. Staff recommend adopting Resolution 2023-54 denying the project, but the Council may also choose to approve this project or continue it to a later date. When evaluating the general plan amendment and zone change request, staff reviewed the intent and permitted uses for the current and proposed designations. Looking at the CHR general plan designation, this designation is applied to several properties that run along the highway. It is intended for highway-oriented retail and services such as regional shopping centers, commercial recreation, and professional offices. The related CO zoning designation is intended for office uses and associated services. Some typical land uses you might see are professional, medical, and administrative offices, banks, retail, business and personal development schools, and food services. The proposed general plan IBP designation is intended for master plan business and industrial parks in a campus-like setting. The IBP zoning district is suitable for administrative and professional offices, research and development parks, warehouse distribution, and light manufacturing and assembly. Commercial uses in the IBP zone are generally limited. Food services are permitted. Again, in this designation, we're trying to establish an office park or industrial park feel. So there is some room for those industrial uses. As an example, much of the land between Green Valley Road and Suisun Valley Road is designated IBP. There are 3 new warehouses, a hotel under construction, and medical offices. Although the CO and IBP zoning designations share several permitted land uses, there are several significantly different uses in terms of operations and impacts. A key difference between the zoning designations is that the CO zone has a general retail category of land uses, whereas the IBP zone does not. Furthermore, the IBP zone permits a much larger range of industrial uses, such as light manufacturing and assembly, and light to medium storage and distribution. Where the 2 zoning designations do share land use categories, such as with general services, the CO zone has a greater number of permitted uses. An exception to this is with regards to office uses, which share similar permitted and conditionally permitted uses. Because the CO zone generally allows for a higher number of uses compared to the IBP zone, with the exception of industry land uses, staff assumes that the applicant is interested in attracting industry uses rather than the permitted uses both designations share. At the February 8th Planning Commission meeting, the applicant stated that it was highly unlikely that office uses will be located here, which supports this assumption. However, I would like to note that the applicant disagreed with this assumption at the Planning Commission meeting. To approve a general plan amendment, the City Council must find that the proposed amendment is consistent with the goals and policies of the general plan. Staff believe that industrial land uses at this location would be inconsistent with the purpose and intent of the existing general plan and zoning ordinance for a variety of reasons. First, the project would eliminate the ability to provide commercial service spaces compatible with the Green Valley and Cordelia communities. The project site is interconnected to the Green Valley Crossing Shopping Center, and the 2 developments effectively function as one center and serve as the primary commercial, office, and related services hub for the Green Valley and Cordelia area. The site is centrally located in the southwest region of the city and acts as a southern gateway, welcoming residents and visitors into the city of Fairfield. Commercial development adjacent to gateway areas is of great public interest, as their locations are in high-traffic areas visible from the surrounding roads and freeways. Introducing industrial uses to the Technical Plaza and Green Valley Crossing Shopping Center could have potential traffic, circulation, utility, and land use operational impacts due to conflict between uses. Such impacts should be thoroughly studied before making land use decisions. The primary reason that staff are recommending denial is that the city is currently updating its general plan, which plans for future growth and development by establishing a policy framework for decision makers. The general plan update is presently in the land use scenario phase. In this phase, the City Council is considering land use scenarios for key areas throughout the city, including the Business Center Drive corridor and this parcel. As part of your review, the council will assess the greater needs of the community and will consider a range of land uses. The decision of whether to amend the general plan and zoning designation to allow industrial land use at this site should be made as part of a comprehensive analysis of potential impacts. 3 potential visions for the future that have been presented to you for this area are a knowledge and technology hub, light industrial and manufacturing jobs corridor, or mixed-use corridor. New land uses and zoning designations may be created to achieve the City Council's vision for this corridor. The existing designations may not be specific or customized enough to achieve local or regional goals. For example, staff are currently exploring regulations that would permit research and development and high-tech uses without permitting warehousing. The general plan has solicited input from the Fairfield community over a 2-year period. To date, Cordelia residents have expressed a desire for new retail, recreation, parks, schools, and job centers. Residents have also expressed the need for comprehensive planning in North Cordelia, noting that individual projects have approved piecemeal rezonings, which has resulted in a patchwork of incompatible uses along this corridor. Approving this rezoning without considering the greater area and needs of residents would continue this pattern of development. Until the general plan update process is complete, a general plan amendment and zone change at this location would be inconsistent with the general plan objectives and policies listed on this slide. For example, policy ED 4.4 requires compatibility between land uses. Following a review of the project, staff determined that the project is exempt from the requirements of the California Environmental Quality Act pursuant to CEQA Guidelines 15270A, which provides that projects disapproved or rejected by a public agency are statutorily exempt from environmental review. Should the project be supported by the council, an additional environmental review must be conducted. Staff recommends adopting Resolution 2023-54 denying the general plan amendment and zone change request. This recommendation is primarily based on the ongoing general plan update. The timing is such that we are about to analyze the needs for North Cordelia and establish the City Council's vision for the future of this area, as well as their position on a range of issues. As a part of this process, we may create new land use and zoning designations that are customized to achieve this new vision. From a planning perspective, it is better to evaluate these issues as part of a comprehensive review rather than piecemeal. Alternatively, the City Council may direct staff to return with a revised resolution approving the general plan amendment and zone change. In this case, the City Council must find that the amendment is consistent with the general plan and in compliance with CEQA. Lastly, the City Council may also choose to continue this discussion to a later City Council meeting. The Council may be in a better place to make consistency findings after the vision for the future of North Cordelia is better established. Thank you.
Thank you for a very concise and illustrative presentation. Appreciate that very, very much. Colleagues, would you like to hear any public comment that we have on this before we have our discussion? Okay.
Can I add a little something? I'd like to have, if the applicant, I'm assuming the applicant is going to speak, if we can give him more than 3 minutes. The Planning Commission gave him 3 minutes. I thought the applicant got more than that.
Okay, I'll give him 5 minutes. All right. So I will open the public hearing. And do we have any speakers on this item?
Yes, Jose McNeil.
Greetings. Thank you for giving me a little bit more time to speak on this matter. I am the applicant. I don't know if this will work. Go like that. I want to first thank the council members who I was able to meet with and discuss this proposal with. I reached out to everyone on the dais and had great conversations, so I appreciate that. This project is located in Green Valley. It was built in the early 1990s. It has been vacant for about 10 years. It has one tenant. One thing I've found that the staff is not really familiar with this project. The GSA leases 20,000 square feet in an office component. Intercoast College does have a lease in the facility and still occupies it. The project is incompatible with today's environment. There is no large office floor plate tenant that's going to come to Fairfield. If the economic development team would be so kind as to chime in on that, that'd be great. This project, as it was built, was a call center with 7 per 1,000 parking. So you would have somewhere around 4,000 traffic trips based on the zoning for this project per day. The change in zoning would knock that down to about 1,000 trips a day. So it would be a relief to traffic in the Green Valley area. Opening it up to R&D and light manufacturing broadens the scope of tenants that are available to come to this park, will add to the potential for success of this project. If it remains how it is, it's going to stay vacant. If, as the staff would recommend, nothing is done until the general plan is not only passed, but passes all appeals, we're talking 2 or 3 years from now. What we have to do is be responsive to the economic conditions and the dynamic conditions that are occurring in our economy now. This project has been vacant. It is an eyesore. We need to move it forward. I bought this property, or I'm in escrow to buy this property with the idea of changing it into a light manufacturing R&D center to attract employees and jobs to the area. It is not inconsistent in planning and zoning. If it were, the Green Valley Corporate Park would not have industrial buildings there. We would not have 3 warehouses there. This council overruled the Planning Commission on that and changed the zoning on that. The only difference is the land in that business park is owned or was owned by the city of Fairfield. This is a private ownership. I think this is consistent. I think this will deliver jobs for the area. It'll add economic viability to this area and will be a great asset to the area. I'll add that I'm a 33-year resident of Cordelia and Green Valley, so I know this area pretty well. I know the traffic patterns pretty well. This would be a good decision to get this project rezoned and the general plan amended, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, do we have any other speakers in the room or online?
I don't believe so. Did anyone else wish to speak? No.
Alrighty, I will close the public hearing and bring it back for council discussion. Colleagues, comments? Council Member Williams?
Thank you. And thank you, Jose. You know, this project is in District 1. And when I first saw it on the agenda, I'm like, I think I know what property this is. And I drove back to it, and I do. When I was walking and campaigning in Green Valley, I ran across this project and was rolled around in the parking lot. And I'm like, goodness, what is happening here? You could almost envision a straw just going across the parking lot. Like nothing was happening. It was just like 10, 15 cars. And I was like, goodness, what is best use for this property, and why is just this great-looking property just sitting here? So to have someone that knows Green Valley, knows Cordelia, a 33-year resident, and someone with experience doing projects to look at this and imagine something for this project. That part I love. But my concern is having a planning commission look at this and saying, you know, I have reservations in changing the zoning, and then having the planning department say that they have reservation. So these two bodies that have really looked at this, look at these type of things all the time, look at it, I have concern. Here's my bigger concern. My bigger concern is I immediately thought of a year ago, last April, when there was a community meeting surrounding what envisioning for Cordelia and Green Valley. It was a meeting, and I don't remember the name of it, but it was surrounding the general plan and getting ideas, da-da-da. I've never seen so many people show up at the library, ever. Like, it was wall-to-wall people, and they were all like weighing in on what they envision for Cordelia. And so I just feel like with general planning being right here, it's not 5 years away, it's not 7 years away, it's not da-da-da, it's right here where we're, there, I believe general plan discussions and all that is coming through now, to cut off the voice of the community and not have them weigh in on this property and everything that we do in this area. I feel like we're taking away the community's voice. So that's long-winded, but that's how I feel.
Thank you, Councilmember Williams. Anyone else? Councilman Tonneson.
So, I have several questions, or statements too. It seems like we talk about reasons why we want to deny it or don't want to approve it, and then we keep going back to general plan, general plan, general plan. Do we wait on a property that has been vacant for 7, 8, 10 years, whatever the number is? And what is the alternative use? If we changed it to the IBA or IBP, I'll just talk to you, Jose. I'm flat out scared of 100 trucks a day going in and out of there. That's what scares me, is the traffic scares me. There's already enough heat on the traffic out there now, but to me, this isn't a huge change in the zoning. But the ingress egress scares me. So I'm kind of going both ways on this. If yours is 110,000 square foot, the other one's 110,000 square foot or thereabouts. So we have, eat up the 20,000 that's taken, we have 180,000 feet of vacant building out there. We have 216,000 square feet of vacant building out there that's been vacant for a long time. Is this the best use? And would you add on to that? I mean, you've got 1,000 parking spaces. You're going to keep the building as it is, and who's your target tenant?
R&D, light manufacturing. It can't be a warehouse. It's not. You have to raise the roof to 36 feet.
And so the other one, if the zoning were changed, it couldn't be a warehouse either? Because we're not going to have any control over.
No, you can't physically. I mean,
Sorry.
Practically, I'm sorry, but practically you can't do it.
It could be a warehouse with a conditional use permit.
From an economic standpoint, you have to.
Well, excuse me. So should we open the public hearing to take these comments because this discussion is
Yeah.
off
So
the mic and
it's at the discretion of the vice mayor. This is usually at the time of the public hearing, council would ask questions at the time of the hearing. Since you've closed the hearing, technically, there should be no further discussion with
Correct.
the person making the application.
Okay.
But it's your discretion as
Okay.
the presider.
Councilman Tonneson, would you like me to open the public hearing to continue this
It
discussion?
would probably be best, because I think that others are going to have questions for him, too.
Okay, let me reopen the public hearing. Sir, can you step to the mic, please? Thank you.
I'm an industrial developer. I build warehouse buildings. I do build warehouse buildings. The depths of this building do not allow for what would be a conventional warehouse project. Yes.
I'm sorry, excuse me, can I stop you? Councilman Tonneson, can you re-ask the question for
Yes,
the
sure.
record, please? Thank you.
So what I'm afraid of is that we're going to have, we change this to industrial, we're going to have industrial buildings out there. We're going to have, wall-to-wall trucks up and down. The ingress, egress is one way in, one way out. That is a fear of mine.
I echo that fear, and that's not the practicality of the site. I would point you back to the Green Valley Corporate Center and the 3 warehouse buildings that have been approved with the massive number of trucks that are there. The makeup of these buildings, the physical makeup of the buildings, do not allow for high cube warehouse distributions uses. They're narrow, so what they're set up for is either office when it was going to be a call center, or for light manufacturing. The ceiling heights are 17 to 20 foot clear. On a typical logistics warehouse now, they're anywhere from 32 to 36 feet clear. In order to raise the roof in this project, it would be economically unachievable because of the rents that you would get.
Okay.
And then for just a little bit more, on looking at it, you envision, and Ms. Williams was right, you have to look at it and envision what's going to go there. This would be probably 4 dock doors and 4 grade doors that we put in, allowing for that type of truck to be there, 4. Because again, you can't get product stacked to a semi brings in X number of packages, let's just call them packages. You want to store those and stack them because you want to limit the floor space and you want to have a high cube, what's called a high cube distribution thing. This is not set up for that. This is for manufacturing, R&D, or light industrial.
Okay. So colleagues, I struggle with the vacancy. That's my main struggle on the positive side for Mr. McNeil, but I'm afraid of traffic.
Okay. Are there any other council comments? Mr. Tonneson, did you have anything else?
No, I think that's got to listen to others.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Councilman Vaccaro, to be followed by Councilwoman Panduro.
Okay, so I have a question, Jose. So you mentioned traffic relief.
Mm-hmm.
How do you figure it's traffic relief?
So currently, sorry, that's what I need my notes for. Currently, it's parked 7 per 1,000 parking. That would generate 4,368 trips per day for this facility. That's how it's zoned now. So if you keep the zoning, someone could come in and fill it up with people and have 4,300 trips per day. If it goes to what I'm talking about, it knocks those trips down to 967 per day at maximum. That's 6 trips per day per car. That's on a traffic engineering study. That's how you look at it. You come in, you go out for lunch, you come back for lunch, and you leave. Not everybody does that, but then you have deliveries and you have some other things. So we cut down the number of trips by 3,000. Trucks would be the other thing you might introduce into this, but the trucks would be not supplying packages to the project. It would be bringing supplies. Much different.
So look, I have one more question. But to staff, so was that taken in account? Did you agree with that, or?
I have a few items to clarify. Our traffic engineer has not received or assessed any kind of traffic impact. We cannot do that without a specific use being offered.
Okay.
Furthermore, I would like to offer some additional information At the February 8th Planning Commission, the applicant suggested a wider range of uses, including wine warehousing. So new information is being brought today that he is focused on R&D and light manufacturing. That was not the case a month ago. I would, if I may, respond to several earlier points that were made. We are not advocating for office uses, nor are we advocating against industrial uses. We do collaborate very closely with our Economic Development Division, and we understand the state of offices in Fairfield and more broadly. We are trying to convey that the general plan update is a once-in-a-generation process that establishes a citywide vision for the future. It also establishes visions for at the neighborhood and even the parcel level. You as a body are set to discuss the vision for North Cordelia in early or mid-June. So one of the reasons we brought up the idea of a continuance is because it is a possibility to continue this project and discuss it after the vision for North Cordelia has been more clearly identified. We do want to ensure, we want to carry out your vision as representatives of the community. Let's say you later determine that your vision is for a mixed-use North Cordelia or a technology hub or a knowledge center North Cordelia. This parcel may no longer be in play. So that is the basis of our recommendation today.
Thank you. Councilwoman, did you have anything else, Councilman Vaccaro? Thank you. Councilwoman Panduro, please.
Thank you. Thank you for those clarifying points. I think they brought a lot of clarity to some of my questions. But I just did want to share that I understand that you have a responsibility to be responsive to the current economics, but we also have we have to be responsive to our community and our bigger vision, especially of North Cordelia.
My community as well, by the way.
Okay, so you understand too that as a body that we need to listen to the needs and wants of our community. And as it was said, if we're looking at the general plan in a few months, and you said there was no tenant, you don't have a current tenant.
We've had inquiries, but they're not going to move forward without a zoning change. So why mention them if they're not here?
So then, in regards to also like the parking that was just mentioned, I think there's just a lot of speculation that I'm not comfortable with going forward with this. I don't understand. I think we need to do due diligence and make sure that we're doing the general plan the right way and what's best for our community. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Carr, do you have any comments?
Just briefly, not so much a comment, just a recommendation. We do have 3 months to the general planning, and I personally would like a little bit more information, and my colleagues here know how I am. I need to study I would like to study on this a little bit more. That's all I got.
Okay, thank you. Are there any more, Ms. Hernandez, do you have any other comments to make at this time?
Not at this time, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any more speakers for public comment before I
Yes.
close this public
There's-
hearing for once and for all?
Yes, sorry. There's someone online, Dana Dean, and then an anonymous person in the room would like to speak as well.
Okay, let's take Ms. Dean first and then you, sir. Thank you. Ms. Dean, go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
Council, thank you. Actually, I had raised my hand earlier because I was going to ask that whoever was speaking go to a mic so those of us who are on Zoom could hear what was happening, but that seems to have occurred. So I just thank you very much for your time.
Okay, thank you. And our next and final speaker?
Yeah, I do notice it says 2 hands raised. Valeria, is there another person that would like to speak about this item?
Sir, you can step to the mic. Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah, hello, everybody. My concern is the environment here, and I was just going to stay quiet, but then you brought up Cordelia and Green Valley Creek, but I want to bring up what's happening on Union Creek with the petroleum spill, that there's been a sheen on Union Creek, and I guess somebody tested it, and it turns out to be aviation fuel. So Union Creek is up Highway 12 near the dump. So that's, I'd like to think that it's being addressed and, not being more polluted, but then as this gentleman's talking about his project, the preservation of our Green Valley Creek, I know that residents up near the falls end of it, they are taking rocks out of the creek to do their ornamental thing, and that's a salmon bed in there that's not good for the health. But the other end of Cordelia, the far southern end of it, they have a problem there because the wind howls through there and it flips over the garbage can, and even the garbage truck, when it picks up the garbage and raises it up high and the lid flops open, before the garbage can hit the truck, it blows out into the swamp. That particular housing project in Cordelia has put so many metric tons of trash into our swamp, which in essence goes out to the ocean. So just because we don't see it doesn't mean that it's not a gross polluting neighborhood. And I've thought about what we have to do to it, and we have to have a whole different garbage truck. You can't have the garbage can lifted high into the air because the wind grabs it. You kind of know what I mean. And if anybody's familiar with that neighborhood, you can't even put your garbage cans out early because they get blown over, and then all the trash is blowing down the street.
Okay, thank you. Did you have any other comments with respect to the issue that's on the floor with respect to the amendment to the general plan?
No, I just heard Green Valley Creek. When I
Got
heard
you.
Green Valley, the creek comes to my mind.
Understood.
And so it was the pollution factor.
Thank you.
I've been here before talking about stewardship of the creeks before, so.
Thank you, sir.
That's one of my things.
Appreciate you.
Okay, appreciate you all.
Madam Clerk, are there any other speakers online?
Valeria, are there any other speakers?
Los Altos.
Oh, hey. Oh, sorry. I was using my company's. So my name is Jim Du. Actually, I work for the city of Los Altos in the finance department. I see this project is have potential impact a lot more on the financially, not just on the environmental. So that's where I'm really concerned about the roads. The deterioration about the roads going in, because Business Center Drive, it is one-way road if you have rezone to the big trucks. So the lifetime of the roads, and I know for costs even 5 years ago, if you do a reconstruction, it's a $1 million per mile. So how much the residents have to pay the tax for? That's where my number one concern. Of course, I believe other people already made the concern of the environment, because we have daycares, we have elementary school, we have libraries all on one side of the Business Center Drive. But so close to the residence area, I don't think it's safe for our community, especially for the small kids. That's my comment. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I will close the public comment and bring it back for final council discussion. Any other additional comments? Councilmember Williams.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. My question is surrounding the early June, late July Cordelia. Did you say a vision planning meeting? What does that look like?
We are on the agenda to discuss your vision for the entire city, but with a focus on North Cordelia and unincorporated Suisun Valley. To this, we will also have an April 11th study session where I'll give you an overview of what's been discussed to date. However, in the June, to date, we have received clear direction on certain areas of the city, and we are seeking direction on your vision for North Cordelia and the unincorporated Suisun Valley.
So it would be on the city council agenda and not a community-based agenda?
That's correct.
And this conversation, this vision planning, where we talk about it in June, July, we would set direction for North Cordelia, but there's no community meeting where they weigh in. So they have to weigh in online or?
There has been approximately 2 years of ongoing outreach and engagement, including 2 surveys, several community workshops, including the one you attended. Dozens of stakeholder interviews. We held a series of 3 alternative study sessions in last year in 2022. At those sessions, we had high levels of participation, and the City Council heard feedback from stakeholders who expressed their concerns specifically with the 3 land use alternatives presented for North Cordelia and for unincorporated Suisun Valley. At that 3rd study session, I'm forgetting the date, the City Council directed staff to go back to the community and solicit additional input. That is when we conducted the 3rd Cordelia land use workshop, as well as the additional focus group discussions with the county, landowners and business owners, as well as representatives of the agricultural sector.
I think I have one final question, but it's me, I might not. It might be another one. So when you're presenting to us, you're not going parcel by parcel. You're just going in general area and making recommendations based on all of this data that you've been gathering for a number of years, yes?
We are currently at what we call the 10,000-foot level. However, there will be future discussions at the neighborhood level, and the City Council is always welcome to share their vision for any property, neighborhood, or larger area of the city. There are certain parcels that are considered key opportunities for change. Sometimes they're called catalyst sites. So it does sometimes get to the parcel level.
Do you believe this would be a catalyst site?
I think that its proximity to I couldn't answer that question at this time. However, its proximity to Costco and Safeway, as well as Rodriguez High School, the Cordelia Library, residences, et cetera, is part of why it's part, we have identified it as part of the North Cordelia focus area. It has also been identified as part of what we've called an opportunity site cluster.
Okay, any other questions or comments? All right, so you mentioned the possibility of continuing the project. Tell me more about that.
I consulted our assistant city attorney. Let me pull up my notes. He did agree that it was a potential action for you to take this evening. One of the benefits I brought up earlier would be you may be in a better position to make consistency findings after your vision for North Cordelia is better established. One thing to be aware of is that there could be some additional process if the project is substantially modified from what the Planning Commission considered. In that case, the project must be referred back to the Planning Commission for their consideration within 45 days.
So this would be continuing the project until after our visioning meeting in June?
Yes, I think we would have to wait until at least that meeting occurs and staff is given clear direction on your vision for North Cordelia.
Okay, Mr. City Manager?
Yeah, to be very fair to the applicant, as we are reinitiating the general plan update process, in April, we'll be coming to you at your study session, second Tuesday in April, to give an overview of where we're at this point and then what that schedule looks like going forward. June, then study session, second Tuesday in June, will be the first opportunity for the council then to start to weigh in on some of this visioning, as Ms. Hernandez has pointed out. But to be fair to the applicant, the general plan process is still scheduled to take into next year. And so we're most likely into April or maybe even May of next year before there would be an adopted general plan. And so there is some time uncertainty for Mr. McNeil and his group up until that year and potentially beyond then, as Ms. Hernandez points out, if there's additional planning approvals that would be required past that point in time with an updated general plan. So I don't want to, I want to just make clear for the council that the delay is unlikely to be just a 3-month delay. It's likely to be longer than that unless there's clear direction from council. I think the point here is unless there's clear direction from council come June or soon thereafter that this type of use is something that's desired at this location, then that could potentially speed the process up.
And so it's my understanding, Ms. Hernandez, correct me if I'm wrong, that you're suggesting that maybe this council would be in a better position to make an informed decision if we have the session in June. We'll make a more intelligible decision, perhaps?
Yes, I do agree there is some level of uncertainty. If the council was not in a place in June to give clear direction, that would extend the time frame for the applicant. However, we are bringing back the land use alternatives to you for discussion and seeking your direction. If you were to establish a vision for North Cordelia, I don't think it would be necessary to wait until the EIR and the general plan is adopted.
Thank you very much. Did I tell you great presentation? Thank you. All right, any other discussion, council? All right, I will entertain a motion. I'll make one if necessary, but I'll entertain one. Please, this is your first. Please proceed, Councilwoman Williams, with your first motion on the dais.
Thank you. I would like to make a motion to, now let me see if I can read my handwriting. I would like to make a motion to wait until after the early June, late July vision meeting before we decide. Was that rough? Clean it
That's
up for
very
me.
good.
Okay.
It's so your motion is to continue this project until after the June, July vision meeting. Perfect. Is there a second?
Before we have a second, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if, so say the vision is in June and July, we decide, okay, actually there is good use for this site. Do we have to wait till April? Yeah, I think you said no, correct? So we can move forward if the applicant has a project at that point.
You're correct.
Okay.
Ms. Hernandez, is that correct?
I believe you were asking if we had to wait till April? Right. Oh, no.
Of
April
24.
No, I don't think that. Mhm.
Councilman Carr.
And just to clarify, if we decide to, we can go through with this in June, if we decide, with the more information that we gather, we decide to go with the applicant, we can do that in June.
Yes. Our wish as staff, we would like to support your vision for the future. If you determine that your vision for this corridor is industrial, then that would be very different than if you determined it was mixed use.
Thank you.
Okay, so the motion on the floor as articulated by Councilwoman Williams, is to continue this project until the City Council's visioning session in June of 2023. Is that correct, Councilwoman Williams? That's correct. All right. Is there a second?
I second.
All right. And we have a second by Councilmember Carr. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? And that motion carries unanimously.
And Madam Vice Mayor, before you adjourn, can I go back to item 6 and walk something back? I apologize. I want to make a clarification on a procedural matter I think I may have misstated.
Yes,
I've
sir.
had a lot of time to think about it while you've been dealing with item 16. So Councilmember Williams originally abstained from the matter in February, and at the beginning of the motion and vote, she asked if she should abstain, and I believe her intent was to abstain on item 6. Was that correct? I'm not, sorry, not abstain, recuse yourself. Because you'd recused yourself in February, and was your intent to recuse yourself again because of the recusal matters you stated previously? Okay.
It was.
So I think, Madam
Instead
Vice
of
Mayor,
abstain.
if we can show that Councilmember Williams abstained, that would put 5 people on the dais. So the final vote is the resolution passed, 3 yeses, 0 nos, and 2 abstentions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sure Madam Clerk got all that information, I hope.
If not, I'll email David.
Perfect. Keep him on the record, right? All right, there is no further business before this body. This evening, I will adjourn this meeting in the memory of Harry T. Price, after whom these chambers will be named, as Councilmember Tonneson reminded us today. So, Mayor Price, you're here with us. Good night, everyone.